let's look at this getters and setters in that. Getters and setters, also called as accessors and mutators, allow the program to initialize and retrieve the values of class fields respectively. Getters or accessors are defined using the get keyword. Okay, another keyword. Setters or mutators are used using the set keyword. A default getter or setter is associated with every class. However, the default ones can be overridden by explicitly defining a getter or setter. A getter has no parameters and returns a value, and the setter has one parameters and does not return a value. Okay. Syntax defining a getter, and this is the syntax for defining a setter or an identifier. So let's just look at this example. Alright, so the following example shows how you can use getters and setters in that. Alright, okay, I would like to use my own examples. Alright, so first of all, I would like to, should I clean this class? No, I'll leave the class. Okay, I would like to talk about something first, right? Remember earlier when we were rounding off functions, we spoke of global variables and local variables, right? So we are going to be talking about something similar. We're going to be touching a very similar concept here in classes, okay? And we're going to be talking about public variables and private variables, and then we are going to use that to explain getters and setters. All right, so I'll create a new file. I would like to call these classes 2.dat. Okay, so I have two files, classes 1 and classes 2. All right, so now in my code base, I have, like, in this first file, I have this class. All right, and you can see that I have instantiated this class here. Right, I was able to create an object of this class here. All right, in this same file, in the main function of this main file, of this file where I have my class. So I'm going to have another main function here, and I'm going to instantiate this class, all right, inside this same file, inside this file, right, in a different file. So I'm going to say car, let me say this is Mercedes, no, my Benz. All right, and then instantiate it with this car. Now what is going on? I cannot access this class here. All right, and the reason for that is because, I mean, this is a new file, this is an entirely new file, right? This is a different context altogether, a different environment, or a different file altogether. All right, so there's no class with this name in this file. So what I can do is I can now import from this file, this classes.dat. All right, I can import from classes.dat into classes two dot that. Okay, so that like I will import this class into this class so that I can be able to access this variable, this class. What did I say? I'm going to import this file into this file, okay, so that I can be able to access this class, this car class. So how I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the import keyword. Okay, so you can see the different files I have open, right? I have constructors, which is here. I have classes, which is here. I have callbacks, which I think I have already deleted. I've already closed. All right, so but what I want to import is classes.dat. So this is how it's done, and now you can see that the error I was having before, all right, is gone. I now have my class imported. Okay, so this is the part of my file, right? Users, user is in my desktop. Remember, I store this file in my desktop, right? I store this file in my desktop environment. So inside my desktop environment, it is in that files slash classes. No, it is in that file slash classes.dat, right? So it's just referring to this particular class. So I now have car here, and remember I need to provide this argument, my car engine argument. All right, so I'll provide it. Let me call this v12. Okay, so I now have my object. All right, but I mentioned something. I said in that we have public and private variables. So how can something be made private? Right now I can access any property using any property of this class, all right, using my object. Okay, I can access engine, I can access is new, I can access what else is there? I can access age. Okay, a static getter age can't be accessed through an instance. Okay, because it is static access, I can access it directly. All right, no need using the object. And I can also access what else? Color, as well as the methods of the class. Okay, so I have access to all of this now, because now let me comment this out, because I do not, or let me just remove it. All right, I no longer need this. Okay, so I can access all of this now because I have imported the class into this file. All right, but let's say I make one value private, I make is new private. Okay, if I make is new private, I can access it only inside this file. That is what this is, a private variable now. All right, when you hear private variable, this is a private variable. Any variable that starts with an underscore is a private variable. Okay, I can also make color private if I wish to. All right, so Any variable that begins with an underscore is automatically a private variable. Of course, I can access the private variables, and I can access the private variables in the same file, alright? Within the same file, but outside of this file, I cannot access them. The reason is simple, right? This is an OOP concept known as encapsulation. Alright, so what I'm doing is I am hiding this data from the outside world. Okay, so that any entity, any function, whatever it is, that is not inside the same file as where I declared my values, where I declared my variables, cannot access it outside. I'm just making these values inaccessible from outside of my file. Okay, so the outside world cannot access it. Alright, so what do I do now? How can I access them? I'll have to create some functions, or rather some methods, right, to make them accessible. Alright, to make them accessible where they are needed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create something called a getter. Alright, and what am I trying to get? I'm trying to get, let me get is new. Alright, so my getter is going to be of the type boolean. Okay, so bool get, and now I'm going to call it get is new. Okay, and I'm going to return is new from it. Alright, so now I have a getter. Okay, and with this getter I can now access is new. So what I can do is I'm just going to print get is new. Alright, my Benz get is new, and I can now get it. Alright, false. Okay, so this is what the getter does. Alright, it returns, it behaves like a function that returns the value of my private variable. Okay, so that I can now access it outside of the file. I can now access it from the outside world. Alright, so we also have something called a setter. Now you know that already I can with my, what am I setting now? Alright, color is the other private variable we have. Okay, and I am accessing it here. So you know that right now, let me clean these other ones and focus on color. You know that right now, alright, I can reassign color to another value, car.color. I can reassign it to blue. Alright, I can do whatever I want with it as long as it is in this file. But right here, I cannot even access it. Okay, I cannot even access it. So what can I do? What I can do is that I can create a setter. I can create a setter for this color. Alright, so I'm going to create setter for color. All right, and then I'm going to do color is of type string. Okay, string set color. Let me refresh my memory a bit. Alright, this is the setter. So string set color, string color. It's supposed to be void. Okay, and then I will set color to no. I will set my private value to color. Right. So now this is a setter. All right, it's the same thing we have here. The same thing we have here, just that this is an arrow function, all right, lambda function. So what I can now do is I will call car dot color. No, let me call this set color. Right, I will call car dot set color. I'm not supposed to be printing. I'll just call car dot set color and initialize it to. What's the problem? Instance member set color can't be accessed using static access. All right. I'll have to use my object, and then I'll set it to white. Okay, so I have set the value of this color using this setter to another color. Are you seeing what's going on? So this is a function that is taking, this is a function, right, that takes a parameter, and then what it returns is it sets this private variable color to a new color. I'm going to call this new color. Right, it sets it or reassigns it to a new color. This is a reassignment operation that's going on here. Right, so in order to get the new color right now, I'll have to create another getter. Right, getter for color. So just like I did with his new, I'm going to create a getter for color. Now I'll call it get new color. Now I'll say color. All right, so right now my band, I'll do my bands dots get new color, and you'll see that the color has changed to white. Right, I'll clean all this off so that it will not be confusing. Okay, so you see that the color has changed to white from black. Okay, so that's it about getters and setters. Right, you can go over this lesson as many times as possible, as many times as you wish, right, to try and understand the concept of getters and setters. All right, so we'll continue in the next class. Thank you very much.